I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. Oh, I have a daily reminder on my phone that goes off like 3 times a day and just reminds me to like take it all in and be present, because you guys know I struggle with that, so that was what that sound was. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, I've gotten a little bit more sick since we last... That car was being aggressive. Obviously, I've gotten a little bit more sick since we last spoke, because my voice sounds way more congested than it did in the last episode. But it's okay. Everything is good. We're good. Obviously, today's episode is a little bit more different. I feel like usually I talk about the plan for your life and like having this plan and doing the most efficient thing. And while that's still important, I do want to talk about kind of like F the plan, you know? Like, there's balance, and I'm really excited to talk about this. So before I dive in, of course, we have to do a little life update moment. So, yeah, my life update is that I don't really have one. Obviously, I'm feeling a little bit more sick. I cleaned for like 8 hours yesterday, which is probably not the best way to get rid of a sinus infection, but it was driving me insane, so I got that done. There's still some more cleaning to do, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And Josh did some cleaning, and I'm just really excited for the house to be together. The downstairs is pretty much done, which was a huge thing, so yeah, excited for that. Other than that, though, I apologize for my voice sounding a little funny, but don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Okay, my phone is on silent. Why is it still going? Oh, it's because it's not on silent on the laptop. Okay. Sorry. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow the podcast on @ThatGirlThePod on Instagram and TikTok to keep up with the community of girlies. We're all working to just become the best version of ourselves, meet our goals together. We are non-judgmental. We just want to help each other get to that goal. So with that being said, let's jump on into the episode. I feel like this episode might be a little short. I am not sure based on the notes that I have, but you know, whatever happens, and we're just gonna see where this takes us. But let's talk about having a plan for your future, a playbook, a strategy, anything, like not a goal, but the way that you're gonna meet that goal, basically. To put it simply, there's no right or wrong way to get to your goal, so stop worrying about having a plan. And like I said, I know that I talk about the plan and steps to do this and ways to get there, and while that's still important, I just want to like sit down and tell you that it's all about balance. Like, I am someone who will hyperfixate on the plan and the goals to get there, and I don't think that that's necessarily healthy either. So it's okay to have balance and one day say, maybe I don't really feel like going by the book, like maybe I want to do this, and those may be your moments of inspiration. Those may be your breakthrough moments. So don't feel like everything sucks or you're doing something wrong, and don't feel guilty because you don't want to do something that way that day, because it could be like your intuition telling you to do things differently. And like I said, that could be your breakthrough. That could be the moment that everything changes, and to just really follow that calling or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, you guys know how much I talk about balance. Balance is like that magic word I talk about in every single episode. And one thing that I've really been learning is I feel like I got really tied up in manifesting, and while like I still think it's true to a certain extent, life is not an algorithm. Life is not on this cycle, and if you do this, it's going to have this result, and everything is mathematical and logical. That's not life. It's not a cycle. Life is different, crazy. You can't really predict an outcome. You can predict it, but that does not mean it's going to come true. So if you're super stressed and hyperfixated on the idea that if I do this, then this is going to happen, don't be, because you don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen. And you just need to kind of like, for me, I need to step out of myself a little bit and kind of look at it from an outside perspective and say, hey, just because I do this does not automatically mean this is going to happen. Like, just because you do this does not mean that success is going to come, or just because you don't do something doesn't mean that success is going to come, and just because you don't have maybe you don't have the degree that someone else has, or maybe you don't have the background that somebody else has, or maybe you don't have, for example, maybe you want to start a YouTube, but you don't have the money to go out and buy the lighting and the camera and the editing software that everyone else has that is quote-unquote successful. That doesn't mean you will or won't be successful, because life is not an algorithm. So even if you don't have a plan, let's talk about some stereotypes that just simply don't matter. There's some stereotypes that I feel like can stress me out, can stress you out, can stress everyone our age out, like young adults, people in their 20s. We just need to talk about how they literally don't matter. So a huge decision we're going to talk about first, just diving in, is to go to college or to not go to college. Now, this is obviously my opinion on these things. A little criteria that I have, I guess, that makes me qualified is I do have 3 college degrees. I'm 23 years old, almost 24, so I'm very young. But a lot of my friends were in situations where when we were 18, we had to make the decision. So that's what, like, my opinion, that's my criteria for it, basically. So take it or leave it, up to you. But in my opinion, as long as you're doing something to better yourself and reach what you think you want to be doing in the end, then both are great. If you, in the end, want to go to trade school and be an electrician, cool. If you want to work at, the mall and get your money right and then eventually decide because you don't know and you don't want to put the money into college if you don't know what you want to do, great. If you want to jump in and be an undeclared major for 2 years and then decide, great. There is no right or wrong answer, and I feel like there's so much pressure from people to be like, go to college or don't go to college. A lot of it stems from your parents and whether they went or they didn't go. If they didn't go, they're typically against it. If they did go, they're typically for it or for going to college. But either way, you're going to be fine. The reason that they're for or against what they did when they were younger is because they did that and it worked out for them. But there's no right or wrong answer. So as long as you're working on bettering yourself, who cares? Just don't let your parents support you forever, Just, don't be bankrolling from your parents forever. You need to support yourself. You need to be independent. That is one thing I will advocate for, is don't live off your parents' dime forever. To be in a relationship or to be single, I personally think that who cares? The best advice I can give you is to just love who you are in both seasons. I hated being single for years, but I realized that it was due to underlying trauma of not, feeling good enough or feeling like someone would want to stick around, all that fun jazz. So once I learned to love myself and understand that I'm single because I know my worth and the right person will come along eventually, bam, that was when Josh came along. And guess what? If I wasn't happy in my current relationship to Josh, or I didn't believe that he was the best person literally on the planet, genuinely obsessed with him, then I probably would still be single. Because it's important to be happy in your relationship. And if you're not, let it go and keep it moving, Being happy in both seasons is really all that matters. And I'm not saying that if you are currently in a relationship, you're never going to fight or you're never going to do obviously you are. But overall, if you're not happy, then no, it's not worth it. So you just need to be happy in whatever you're doing, but it doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship. Genuinely, it doesn't. You shouldn't feel pressure to do either, because a lot of my friends are one or the other, and they're happy both ways. They're rocking it both ways. And especially if you're in your 20s, it does not matter. In the grand scheme of things, as long as you're happy, it's fine. And if you're not happy, change it up. I mean, maybe it's something that you need to search within yourself and you need to do some self-healing. Maybe it's shaking up the scenery and leaving that relationship if you're not happy. There's different ways, but that's truly what matters. It doesn't matter what status you are if you're not happy. To save all of your money or to buy stupid things and go out in your 20s. Why not both? Honestly, why not both? You are only gonna be young once, little YOLO action, but also you do have a future to think about. So if you want to allocate certain funds towards going out and hanging out with your friends, do it, and then also allocate certain money towards your savings. You don't have to be all in or all out. You can do both, and I personally think that's the best because you are only going to be able to make these memories for a certain amount of time before certain responsibilities kick in, but you also do need to like be smart with it. To hang out with friends or to focus on your career or side hustle, both. Honestly, like, balance is everything. You can schedule both into your schedule, and maybe 4 nights a week you work on one and 3 nights a week you hang out with your friends, and that's that. But you can't really just ostracize yourself and not have friends, but you also can't completely put your career aside or your side hustle or your passion aside for your friends. That's not fair. That's not healthy. So balance is both. I know that someone says like a huge thing right now is putting in the work and having that hustle and girl bossing, and that is great. That's awesome. But there's a time and a place, and you need to have balance. I'm basically telling you it doesn't, like, the society is bullshit, honestly, and this is the lessons I've learned, and I'm just trying to save you the time and the tears. So this is really just giving it to you straight, talking about these bullet points, just like, listing them off and giving you the tea. So I think that you need to just be really good at time management when it comes to friends or having a career / side hustle, because both are extremely important. You can't live without both, and you need to really just balance it out. To get married or to wait until you're older. So you and your partner will know when you're ready, honestly. Just because you're engaged also doesn't mean you're getting married tomorrow. So, like, you can get engaged and then get married in 2 or 3 years. I see being engaged as being a commitment where you say, like, you're the person I want to be with forever. So if you are just committing to them and then you want to get married later, like, that's fine. I don't know if, like, 6 years is, like, the tea, but, I mean, waiting, like, 2 years, I think is totally fine. 3 years, totally fine. After 3, it gets a little, but everyone's different. So just to, give you a little perspective, I'm currently in the South. I'm in Kentucky, and it means most of my friends are married with kids, and I am obviously not. Yes, at 23, most of my friends are married with kids, and if they're not, they're very pressured. We are all very pressured to be married with kids, and there's a lot of pressure to settle down, but, like, at the end of the day, I know and Josh knows what's right for us. The dog's just having a meltdown. It's fine. At the end of the day, like, Josh and I know what's right for us, and no one else's opinion matters. And I feel like it's also too important consider what's best for your future marriage and your future kids. So, like, for us, we don't feel like we are stable enough to, like, be married yet, and we also definitely would not provide a good life for kids right now, simply because we're still trying to, like, get on our own feet and find stability for ourselves, So that's not saying that, I don't want to say that, like, my friends that are my age are not providing a great life for their babies, or, like, they're not in a place where they can be married, because it's different for everyone, but it's also very individual. So, like, if you feel like you are ready, send it, but don't let society pressure you into thinking you're ready if you're not, because I do know some people that are definitely not ready, and that's the tea, sis, but they, like, rushed into it because society was like, yo, you gotta do this, and, like, just completely take the pressure out of the equation, because it does not matter. Like, it does not matter. Who cares? Who cares? It's literally your decision, and everyone else is just noise in the background. A huge thing is to also find your calling in life, career-wise or passion-wise, by the time you're 25. And that is just, like, no. I'm only 23, but I can tell you that I have friends that are at least 10 years older than me, and they are still figuring it out. It's rare that you do find it early on in life, and all I can say is that if you do have a passion, you need to chase it. Don't completely throw everything out and just go balls to the wall. You do need balance, but it can be a side hustle. You still need balance. You still need a income of some sort. However, don't let that spark die. You do need to chase it still, and just chase it. Have a side hustle. It's very doable in today's society, and I do want to, important. I think it's extremely important. So no one knows what they're doing. Honestly, we all just pretend that we know what we're doing, but no one knows what we're doing. And all the people that you even think probably are doing what they're passionate about, maybe they're not. So I do want to let you guys know that you're fine. Everything's fine. And don't give up on a passion because society tells you need to live a certain life or work a certain way. Still chase it, but also make sure you're paying your bills because that is very important. To show your emotions and that you may be going through a hard time, or to fake it and smile all the time. This is a hard one for me because I tend to overshare a lot and tell people everything, what I'm feeling when I'm feeling it. I'm personally learning how to find balance in this because it is perfectly okay to not be fine. There's more than okay to not be fine. You need to tell people if you're not fine, but it's also not necessary to tell everyone that you are not fine. So for me, I'm learning that I need to ask myself if telling the person I'm thinking about telling will help me or inspire them in some way. And if they do not care, then don't share. But if they do care, then share. Also, therapy is so important. And if you are at the point that I'm at where you personally cannot afford therapy, journaling is great as well. You're telling someone, you're getting it off your chest, but you're also not I don't know where I was going with that. Journaling is just important. Life is not the highlight reel you see on people's Instagrams, and talking to someone about your struggles is totally okay. I don't want you to think that you have to live a certain lifestyle because someone on social media is living a certain lifestyle, because you don't. They don't even live that lifestyle. It's all a highlight reel, which I feel like Instagram and social media has gotten a lot better about showing that life isn't a highlight reel, but it's still something that you need to remind yourself. And I do want to let you know that talking to someone who doesn't care doesn't benefit anyone. Also, be careful to consider other people's mental health, and if they are not in a good space mentally to help you, then maybe consider sharing with someone else. And that's why therapy is so great, because they're in a position to help you, and sharing with your family can get kind of difficult, or your friends, because they may not be in a good headspace. So you need to consider their mental health, but also know it's okay to talk to people. To have certain views because of your family, friends, or where you're from, or to adopt your own views. Obviously, adopt your own views. Be you. I know this can be really tough, but as you get older, people with the same views are going to gravitate towards you, and you're going to find your group. So be open to conversations or healthy debates with people, family, friends who have different views than you, but don't argue just for the sake of arguing. This can be hard, and I know that it has broken families apart, but you just need to set healthy boundaries. That's going to be the key. So you can make your views known and say, hey, maybe we don't discuss this because I disagree, but also set those healthy boundaries. Know that you can maintain relationships with people who have different boundaries than you, or different views than you, and still, believe your own thing. And it's really hard to do your own thing, so I'm really proud of you if you do have different views, but also, just make it known. Be honest. That's all you can do. And if someone doesn't value your relationship enough to be willing to set healthy boundaries with you, then you're going to find someone else who does value you more. That's all, folks. I don't feel great. I'm losing my voice, so this, like I mentioned, is shorter. I also need to eat. I'm feeling a little lightheaded, so I'm probably going to do that. But I love you guys so much. Thanks for listening to this episode. Don't forget to follow, leave a rating or a review, share on your Instagram stories, and get the podcast growing. It means the world to me. I love when our community grows and more girlies become a part of the family. The family makes this sound kind of like shady. Not the family, the girl gang. We'll go with that. But I love you so much. Don't forget to follow at That Girl the Pod. If you're listening on a Sunday, I hope you have a great night. If you're listening on any other day of the week, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I will see you in my next podcast episode. I love you so much. And that is it. All right. Bye, guys. Oh, I just hit my funny bone. Okay. Bye, guys.